Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Cape Rugby TV. Of course, Merry Christmas to you if you're out there and you are celebrating Christmas. And for the rest of our viewers who are not celebrating Christmas, well, we wish you the very best of the festive season. One way or the other, we are celebrating a year of rugby at Western Province. And no better way for me to talk about a year of Western Province rugby but than to speak to the bosses at Western Province Rugby. And we've got a very esteemed panel this evening, but no stranger, let me start on my far right, no stranger to club rugby, or at least the Cape Rugby TV show, Danny Jones, the General Manager of Amateur Rugby. Hello, Danny.
Good evening, JP. Good evening, audience.
Nice to have you along.
It's good to be back.
Peter Jooste, I don't even know how to give you a title anymore. Pete, memory executive, godfather of Tigerberg, former hard man of club rugby, in charge of the institute. I don't know, what else are your titles?
Yeah, there's so plenty. I mean, so many, JP. I also don't know which one to take. But look, I enjoy being in Western Province, be in charge of rugby, the rugby committee at the moment, and I think we're doing quite well. And
then, of course, the managing director of Western Province Rugby himself, and great to have him on the show, long overdue, Rob Wagner. Hello, Rob.
JP, hi to you, and Merry Christmas to all the viewers. It's good to be on your show. I think the show has gone from strength to strength, and it's something that you and Western Province Rugby can be very proud of.
Yeah, no, I tell you, we've had a fantastic time. We're now in our third season, and I think from a club rugby point of view, yeah, I mean, you see all the jerseys at the back. Everyone's having a good time, and club rugby exposure. So I think, and also the great thing for us is the sort of the bringing together professional and amateur rugby a little bit. So that's been great.
I think one of the strengths of rugby in the Western Province has been the vision of leadership. You've mentioned somebody like Peter, but also the president, the chairman, and bringing together the amateur and the professional sides has been very, very important to create that family environment in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
And I think that the foundations have been laid by the leadership for a very, very successful future.
I mean, there's definitely a sense of more kind of pride amongst the players. The club rugby guys, they're feeling more connected to the professional guys now. You know, there used to be a little bit of a split, didn't get to see the guys so often. Now they're getting to, from time to time, see the guys doing clinics. They see them on TV as well. Now the professional guys are coming for an interview. It really does unite everybody under the dizer.
I think what is important is that everybody in the Western Province now has an opportunity to strive for a contract. And we have seen a number of amateur players that have come through the identification process and gone up to play Vodacom Cup and Currie Cup already. And it's going to be great to see one of those players graduating to Super Rugby, and who knows, maybe even higher.
Yeah.
We don't have the perfect recipe in Western Province, and there are players that sometimes slip through the net from a contracting point of view. But I believe the systems and the structures that are now in place will see that those talented players that are playing club rugby will be recognized and will have an opportunity.
Now, I wasn't really even sure how to tackle today's show because there's so much to talk about. So Peter and I made a few notes earlier on, and then I thought, I might just do this in the same way that we would do in Parliament and just go through the annual report. And it just starts off, I mean, if I go through the annual report, which is what you guys have to put together for, I think, your board members and clubs, and give them all a copy of what you've done over the year. And of course, we were hoping to have Thelo Wakefield, your president, on the show tonight, but we know that he's in Luxembourg at the moment. But if we go through the list of categories, so to speak, and we'll come to club rugby a little bit later. We had to start off, say, for example, at youth rugby. We're having an exceptional season. The players that are coming from youth rugby into the ranks, and you seem to have a very streamlined system now. You've got under 16s and under 19s, you've got institutes and academies, and it all just, there's a whole feeding system. I mean, this is what leads to the success of Western Province.
I think we mustn't be fooled by the fact that it just happens.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes on by a number of people in positions within the executive and on the board who give up their hours, and believe me, it's not just a few hours, it's countless hours to see that the structures are in place so that you do have this continuity. And there's been a tremendous amount of work over the last few years, which has seen the continuity from 2010 to 2013 and the successes that we have at the various levels going right down, and we must not forget the clubs, right down into the club structures as well.
I mean, you go if you just think about this. You know, I just thought about this from a different angle. I think it was yesterday. I realized I don't remember when last you bought a player into Western Province. They all come from Western Province now, either from the Institute or from the HPC. I mean, Eben Etzebeth, Sio Kolisi, all the guys were groomed out of the Western Province structures.
I think that's correct. There would be the odd occasion, obviously, where in a particular position you might not have a player and that you would look outside. But by and large, the whole idea has been through the Institute, of which Peter is the chairman, is to get that identification right so that you develop players who will then go on to play Super Rugby and hopefully for South Africa as well. And so we have seen over the last few years that our talent identification is correct and our sourcing of players from outside is getting less and less and less.
Yeah.
So for 2014, there's one player from outside the province that we've contracted, and there's been a very real need for that. But that's a good strike rate from the Institute at the moment for the graduation to Super Rugby.
Pete, let's talk a little bit about the Institute. I mean, the Institute, and maybe you can throw some light on the sevens as well, because we're also starting to see players now come from the sevens ranks into the 15s. So, I mean, again, we're not going outside the province. We're bringing, which is a lot of people used to debate this over the years, like, why do you bring in this guy when we've got a home guy, we've got a lock here, we could have brought in. But now we're seeing, so again, it's testament to the fact that we're working with inside Western Province to bring in our own people. But not only from the Institute, you also got a couple of sevens guys coming through. I mean, Ches and Kobe would be a fantastic example.
Yeah, obviously, JP, I think the Institute, I think, works wonders for us at the moment. I think a couple of names is already mentioned, and I think there's quite a number more that's going to come through. And then obviously, with the seventh leg that we add on now, and the culture that we're trying to create with sevens, that's even going to bring more players through, because there's more opportunities now, because that's actually what we're trying to do, is to give more opportunities to players where they can carve out a career for themselves, you know, in rugby. So they're going into the Institute. Out of there, they're going into either the under-21, Vodacom, to the Currie Cup, into the Super 15, and they can come through the sevens as well, which is very good for us. And I think that's the whole idea of Western Province at the moment.
I mean, it's a different game to what it used to be. You know, we used to talk about a short season in the winter games. So kids used to play rugby during winter. Now we've got a 12-month season of sevens and challenges, and obviously there's the Varsity Cup, the Community Cup. You can literally stay a rugby player full time for the whole, and which means, of course, that you can be a coach or an administrator definitely for the 12 months. I mean, we spoke to Tariq van der Ross last week. They had their awards dinner 2 weeks ago Friday. And the players are getting a 3-week break, which is quite smart of him, because he left his awards dinner till right to the very end, so the players don't go away for too long. He left the awards dinner to right to the very end, so they all had to come back. But they're getting a 3-week break just for over the holiday period, and then they're back into training. But on the other side, as an administrator, the administrators don't stop.
Yeah, no, we have to carry on, you know, and I think, again, and most probably Daniel will come in there, that we also create opportunities for, as you just said, coaches and administrators and that. And we just had a coaching seminar, a week-long or weekend-long seminar at the Institute as well 2 weeks ago, where coaches get the opportunity to be trained in certain aspects of the game and empower them better, you know.
Yeah, that was a fantastic course. So we went out there on the Sunday and we got some footage with Jacques Annekom and of course Jerome was there and Steph Nell and
all the professional
and
coaches.
That was the fantastic thing about it, was the professional guys. Again, we're talking about closing this gap.
Yes.
You had all these professional guys like Dobson and Nazim and Jacques Ninaber and talking statistics and videos from the professional side and then showing it to the club guys. I mean, that's a great way of sharing knowledge from up top down to a different level.
Exactly, and I think it's good for our province, you know, and I think most probably because one of our strategic pillars is the all-inclusiveness, you know, to include everybody and try to educate and help and wherever we can do, you know, to make it a Western Province family, you know, a Western Cape family.
I think Dr. Ivan Meyer talks about that as one of the sporting pillars. is all inclusiveness. Of course, the MEC for Sport in the Western Cape. But Danny, we talk about it being a 12-month season, and clearly with you pumping a newsletter out every week about what's happening at Western Province Rugby, there is still constant activity. Maybe it gets a little bit more quiet now over these 2 weeks, but it almost doesn't stop. I mean, the media carries on, and you guys at the union, you carry on. There's whether it be preparing documents or administrative stuff or looking at new tournaments and formats, it doesn't stop for you.
No, it doesn't. It's a 12-month period, as you said. But more importantly, while the rugby on the field has stopped, there's a lot of administration and planning behind the scenes. And one of the strengths of Western Province is the fact that it plans, and it plans quite in depth, from, as Rob was saying, from our board to the Exco, right down to the club rugby division and the schools division, because we do see ourselves as a seamless organization. From our schools right through to Super 15 is about proper planning, getting the right people in place, and sharing information and sharing skills and expertise. And as you know, and as Peter said, with regard to the coaching seminar, we were proud to have Alistair and his whole coaching panel out there to rub shoulders with the top schools and club coaches.
And you've got similar protocols. I know that in the nutrition space, you've got protocols for the kids already that they understand when they get into the higher ranks. That one thing, it's not a new thing for them. They kind of can seamlessly move. Rob, maybe you can give us, but everything seems to be similar. The strapping rules are similar. The coaching rules are similar. The nutrition chain, the gym programs. So when you get into the under-19 space, it's not a massive surprise for you. And so you're able to use the same, which I think for successful players, containing and controlling the environment all the way through.
I think, JP, I mean, let's not fool ourselves. We're not perfect. And I think one of the challenges, and I think Peter and Danny will agree with me, is to still get that seamless or that continuity from our Craven Week sides.
From 16 to
moving
50.
through. I think at the moment there's a good program from the Institute upwards, but I think we still need to go further down. And I think one of the successes, and Peter will be able to speak about that more fluently than I can, is that one of the successes of New Zealand rugby, that if you go to schools rugby and if you go to the All Blacks, they're playing the same structure, the same system, the same game.
And is that central contracting concept?
Not only central contracting, no, just the whole philosophy. And I think in the Western Province, as I say, we are not perfect with regard to all our things. We've certainly come a great way with regard to our structures. And I've mentioned the Institute, but we still need to move further down than that. And if we can get that right from under 16, Peter, all the way up, I think we will be even more at that cold face every single year. I think that's one of the areas where certainly Danny will take upon himself to get that right.
Yeah, I think Danny's been quite helpful in terms of us getting information from you and getting it through the different channels of communication, whether it be through a newsletter or through a video, the TV show, to share that information, that you kind of people also know out there that there are protocols, whether it be a box smart program or a coaching course or a referee's course. These things are all coming through, and people are more aware of the fact that there is a system. Now maybe they all just need to get on board this ship.
No, there is a system. I just want to catch on to what Rob is saying, is that we had 68% of our players in our elite under 16 group made our under 16 team, and 87% of our under 18 elite group played at Craven Week. So whilst we're not perfect, but there's at least a blueprint that we're working towards to become close to perfect and improve upon that.
And the nice thing also is that I think one of the dangers in professional rugby is that maybe Western Province is maybe one of the exceptions to the rule, but you can always have your players, they go outside for advice. They go to a personal trainer or they go to a dietitian. It doesn't necessarily form part of your protocol, but at least you've got your school coaches, your school referees, your club coaches. They can phone someone like a Stefan de Tooy at Western Province and say, listen, we're about to do a program, but what do you think is the best way for that? Or we're about to use a product, or we're about to get some strapping or whatever. What do you recommend? And then they know that they can go right at the top of the pile and say, because one of your condition coaches would have tested it all. They would have been through the whole process and said, no, this is what we're choosing, this is the best, and we recommend this for you at school level or club level. Rob?
I think going right down to supplementation and to give your company a bit of a push. if we might. We've worked with you for a long time on EVOC supplements.
Yeah.
And that's important so that everybody that's moving from under 19 right through to Super 15, just taking that particular fitness and conditioning aspect, we know exactly that all of our athletes, if I can call them that, are following the same supplementation program, which is very, very important. So I think that in all aspects, there must be the continuity, and we need to go as far down as we can go. So, and I think we're getting that right in the Western Province, very much so. And again, it comes through, as I've said to you, it does not come from just sitting back. It comes from continuous
Lots of administration.
Planning.
Investigation, interrogation, planning, strategizing. All of that comes into it. And I really do believe that over particularly the last few years, we have got that right. And I know that you might be measured in terms of trophies, but you can also measure yourself in terms of knockout and playoff games. And we are there all the time at the moment, whether it be under 13 or Super Rugby, we are there. And
Well, we're going to go through that. I mean, we've got, as I said, I've got the whole. We're going to go through some of your results over the year. You know, and I'm sure that the people out there that could probably be saying, "Yeah, but JP, there are a few there. You're not talking about the negatives. You're only talking about the positives." But that's absolutely right. That's exactly what I am going to do now. I am only going to talk about the positives because it's the positives that we have to aspire to. So if we look at the positives and we try and build on the positives and not worry about the negatives, then definitely club rugby can only get better, and that's where we want to get to. Anyway, folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back, we're going to catch up with some of the highlights of the year. Of course, Cheslin Colby spoke to us at the awards. We also spoke to Jean de Villiers and the president of Western Province Rugby, Mr. Thello Wakefield. We'll catch up with some of those awards from the awards evening during the course of the show. We'll take an ad break. We'll be back with you in a sec. Welcome back, everybody. Cape Rugby TV, and of course, very esteemed guest panel with me on the show tonight. Danny Jones, the head of amateur rugby at Western Province Rugby, Mr. Peter Jooste, member of the board at Western Province Rugby, and Mr. Rob Wagner, the managing director of Western Province Rugby. Rob, let me just ask you quickly before we go into all your results over the weekend. It's been a year in terms of the change of managing director and CEO. What does that mean practically for the man in the street? Is there any impact?
I don't think there's any impact to the man in the street, but I think what was uppermost in the minds of the leadership of Western Province, and here I'm referring to the executive committee under the leadership of Thello Wakefield, was to try and bring the amateur and the commercial arms closer together and to be one. I think in the past we were two divisions working in two different directions, and now that we have come together as one, and Danny's appointment as the general manager heading up the amateur side, I think what has happened over the last few months, it's about 18 months, is that we are one family, and I always speak about family. We're pulling in the same direction, whether it's a commercial issue or an amateur issue. It is easier from the point of view of keeping your finger on the pulse.
Yeah.
And I think it really was a bold decision and the correct decision to go in this direction, because this direction, and the president keeps on speaking about changing direction, we certainly have changed direction, and it's for the better. And Danny will bear me out. We work extremely closely, whether a staff member's looking after amateur issues or whether a staff member is working after commercial issues.
Well, it's a lot easier to speak to one person than I have to speak to two people every time. Over the years, I mean, for me, I have one touch point, so to speak, now. I don't have to run between different offices.
No, and I think the other thing that you also do is that you are able to leave areas of expertise with people who understand those areas. And we are very confident and comfortable that from an administration point of view, we have extremely talented people running the administration. And I think one of the successes of any entity, whether it be club, whether it be professional sport, is a good administration. And certainly we have really good people working on our administration at the moment.
Right, folks, just a reminder then, if you are watching the show and you haven't heard the jingle bells and you're worrying that Cape Rugby TV isn't actually doing enough about the festive season, well, we've got our Christmas caps for those of you that are celebrating Christmas, then all I do is this, and then I look like Santa Claus and real idiot at the same time. Danny, you want to join me in doing that? So we both look like idiots. So it's just two idiots on the panel. Okay, so there we go. Danny, now there's two idiots on the show looking like Santa Claus. And then for those of you who are not celebrating Christmas tonight, I just need to do that, and you can enjoy the festive season. So we get it right. We balance it on all sides here. Danny, let's quickly go to you in terms of amateur rugby. Club rugby, how do you feel about it now? It's been a good season. I mean, it's been such an exciting season. If we look at the guys that have come through from club rugby, the Dyser side or emerging Western Province side, Jerome's talent identification, the club coaches going to the institute to learn. It's been a good season of club rugby.
It has been a good season of club rugby. One needs to mention the fact that at the beginning of the season we had a guy, Taz Fuzane, who played for UWC, and he ended up playing in the Currie Cup team, and that for us is a milestone, and we would like more and more players to choose that path. But a lot of hard work has gone into Taz, and I'm sure he'll be a fixture in 2014. And from the club rugby side, we're proud of that at least our own system has produced somebody, not through the school system, but through the club system, and has been successful. So we're quite happy with that. Because many of the professional players actually, their path is created already from Craven Week, etc., etc. And so it's kind of limited for the club rugby player to get out there. And so Taz has at least showed us it can be done.
Pete, tell us.
And he's from the institute as well.
Was he at the institute in Stellenbosch as well?
Institute as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Pete, tell us a little bit more about the from an institute point of view. Tell us, because I also want to talk to you about the new academy that you've got out in Tokai. For the folks that don't know what the Western Province Rugby Institute does, which is out in Stellenbosch, just give us a quick snapshot. What does the Institute do, and what's the purpose?
Yes, JP, obviously, I think the Institute is well established by now. I think we produce quite a number of top-class players. I think we produced like six Springboks so far, if not more.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do in future and trying to get closer to the schools as well, our academy staff, institute staff is going to work closer with the schools as well. I think this year, for starters, we had our under 16s. They had a weekend camp there at the institute, also under 18s at the weekend camp there, and I think that's because of that they done very well at the weeks. Our under 16s won their competition, and our under 18 won the competition. Now, obviously, because we can only take in about 50-52 boys at the time at the institute, we're now going out and we create a satellite academy, which we call Western Province Academy, to give more opportunities for boys of our area to get into. If they can't make it into the institute, they go to the academy. We establish it in the southern suburbs at Tokai. It will be run by a board there as well, a group of people that will run it. But Western Province, we will have 50% into that.
So can you, if you need a professional, if you need a player, can you pull on that?
Exactly, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
That players will be eligible to play for our under 19s.
Yeah.
They will train together. Our institute staff, they will make sure that they get the programs. The programs will work exactly the same.
But does this not also help to prevent players leaving the province?
Exactly, that's what we're doing. And I think in future, most probably another year or so, we want to try and establish another one academy into the northern suburbs.
Yeah.
And we will most probably have 3. This one already is a success. We had 50 boys already applied to get into the academy, and hopefully by next year or the year after we can have another academy.
Another academy.
Have another 50 boys or so.
No, I think this academy thing, because there does come a point that you can only stretch yourself so far. So, I mean, how much can you do? So maybe these little things, they all add part of the sort of the ecosystem of rugby and boil it out. Folks, one of our highlights over the year was, of course, the Western Province Rugby Awards dinner. And a gentleman who's clearly now become the darling of Newlands was Cheslin Colby. And we thought that we definitely can't wrap up the year without bringing you Cheslin Colby. So this is just for you and his moment of glory after the awards dinner as we had a little chat with Chesy. The new darling of Newlands, Cheslin Colby. Cheslin, hoe gaan met jou?
Dan goed self, JP.
Ja, nee, dit gaan lekker. Ons is nou blij dat ons finally vir jou kry op die show. You know, we've been waiting for such a long time to get you on the show, and everybody's been talking about Cheslin Colby, and they've said that you've now taken over the mantle of the Brayton Paulser, who used to be the darling of Newlands, and now you are the new darling of Newlands. How are you enjoying playing on the park?
I'm enjoying each and every moment playing at Western Province and at the Union. For me as a youngster, it was always a dream to be part of the setup and in the unions such as Cape Town, where all the home crowd and favourites are there, and just being part of the setup is just a great opportunity and a wonderful privilege.
And thanks for joining us. And as I say, you are the darling of Cape Rugby TV. So, you know, we wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you in the Western Province blue and white hoops for many years to come.
Thanks, James, a lot. I really appreciate being on the show. Thanks a lot.
There we go, folks. Cheslin Colby, finally we got him on the show. That's so exciting. We're going to be back with you guys in a mo. So welcome back there, everybody. Yes, Cheslin Colby, and as I've said, he has become the darling of Newlands and the absolute terror of anybody who plays against him on the sevens field. And you would have seen again in the HSBC sevens that he just literally terrified anyone who came up against him. I think the bigger the guy that was, the better. And as I said before, if you want to scare the living daylights out of Yanni du Plessis, who was apparently the rock star at the Sharks, the one way to sort him out was just put Cheslin Colby up against him and they wouldn't know what to do. Anyway, didn't quite turn out our way though at home. But Rob, if we talk about results for the season, and let's just start with the Super 15. Forget about where we ended. I mean, we had a great season, but in terms of the brand, the Stormers brand, you got the highest viewership and you've had great bums in seats.
I think results are always important. Let's not fool ourselves. We all here to administer a team that can win the trophy, and we were disappointed in the final result there. I think what was important was that after the team came back from Australasia, the president and the chairman met with the coaching staff and put down a challenge that for the remainder of that Super 15 rugby competition they be unbeaten. And we know that the last 5 games they won all of those games. And then they went on to win another 11 games as Western Province, so they went on a 16-match unbeaten streak, which was good for the brand. And so I now go to the brand. I think the brand is a special brand, and worldwide it is well known. From the Super Rugby competition, the top 10 television viewerships, the DHL Stormers occupied 5 positions, and also, quite ironically, the last match of the season against the Bulls, that was the biggest television viewership of the Sanzar competition. So from a brand point of view, the DHL Stormers is huge. DHL Western Province, well, you know, we attract the largest crowds year in and year out. I think one of the strengths... I
think you also attract the largest crowds when you're playing away.
We do too, and I think one of the strengths of the brands, and both of the two brands, is that, and I've said this before on numerous occasions, is our diversity. We have fantastic diversity at our stadium, and we have, and Danny will bear me out, we've got certain individuals that we see every single week sitting in the same seats. They're non-season ticket holders, and beware the touch judge that makes a mistake.
I think some of those fans are actually watching the show right now. So I've got to say hello to the guys who are always on the left-hand side of the tunnel, because Rob, as you said, beware the touch judge.
Absolutely.
Even beware if your pants are too big on the day.
But that gives us that gives the brand the awareness and the strength is our diversity, of which we must be extremely proud of that. And we are extremely proud of it. We are a fantastic union with a fantastic club structure, spectatorship throughout the country, as you've correctly said, and the brands are where they are because of the support.
Yeah, I find it particularly exciting watching an away game and then looking into the stands of the Bulls or the Lions or Well, now the Lions coming back, looking into the stands and seeing, oh, there's all these Western Province rugby jerseys. They must really burn the backsides of the administrators of those other unions. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, folks, we're going to take an ad break. When we come back, there's lots of new exciting stuff happening at Western Province Rugby next year. Of course, there's a new club rugby tournament. There's now also a community challenge, which is going to be very exciting, and we'll talk about that after the ad break. Back with you in a sec. Welcome back, folks. Cape Rugby TV. Yes, of course, it is Christmas Eve here at Cape Rugby, and well, we're glad to know that you have had a good year, and hopefully you're celebrating with your family right now as you watch Cape Rugby TV. And for those of you that are not celebrating Christmas tonight, well, we'll show you are celebrating the festive season, and we hope that you are having the best of times. Danny, let's talk a little bit about the tournament for next year. We've already been through it in sort of rough patches. We know we've got 4 leagues of 15 now, and then you've got, I think, what, 4 more?
No, 3 leagues of 15.
3 leagues of 15?
3 leagues of 15.
So that makes your top 45?
Then, that makes you top 45, and then you have 4 divisions. You've got 3 divisions, and then you obviously got the PAL one that's playing on his own, so that's 4 basically.
So what does this mean for players playing home and away?
In the coming year, obviously, they will still play 1 year, year 1 you will not play home and away in the same year, but you will play this year, you will play, for instance, Stellenbosch, and then home, and then next year you will play them away again.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to work. It's basically on the principles of our Super 15 at the moment, the Zanza Super 15.
So you only play each other team once?
Once for the year.
Once.
Yeah.
And then what happens at the end of that first part of the season?
Oh, obviously there'll be league winners. The team who wins the competition will be the league winner,
Okay.
and they'll represent Western Province in the Community Cup. But we go further than that.
Yeah.
We have a knockout competition, the top 6, similar to the, as Peter said,
Super
to Sanzar, Super 15. We'll have the top 6 will go into a knockout competition.
So if you look at this like a Super League A, Super League B, call it Super League C, 3.
Yeah.
If you're in Super League in the third 15 now, you play against all the other teams, but you only play once. There's no home and away. You play once. What happens then at the end of that season for that league? Is there a knockout for that league?
Yeah, that's for all 3 leagues. There's a
All the
knockout
leagues
competition.
knockout.
Yeah.
Okay.
The same with even the divisions. They also, after their league is finished, they're going to play another competition. So we will play basically 17 or 18 games for the year, like we're playing at the moment.
Yeah.
But the knockout competition is you play your top 6. They will play in the knockout. Then you also have your bottom 8. They will play a similar competition where they play a quarter-final, a semi-final, and a final. Then at your divisions, as we said, you're going to take the top 3 from each division. They're going to play then in a competition, but that's for promotion relegation for them.
Okay.
After that competition, then the top 3 will go into 43, 44, and 45. So
All right,
they will be promoted.
There's too much information here.
I think, I think, JP, I think the important part of this competition, of this club competition, is that as it is in the Super 15 rugby competition, and I think many people underestimated the achievement of the DHL Stormers ending top of their conference on 2 occasions. You've only got 1 chance because there's no home and away here.
Yeah.
To win that section,
Yeah.
you've got 1 chance. If you slip up against one team, you don't then meet him away.
Yeah. You can't get it back.
You can't get it back. That's done.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the beauty and the real energy of this competition.
Yeah.
It's going to bring a hard edge to it. You've got 1 chance to get there, and you're going to have to be on your game every single game, because you don't have a second chance.
That means but then things can only get better, because if the coaches and the administrators understand that pressure, they're really going to have to come, like you said, that energy has to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be incredible.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, just getting back to Super 15, that the DHL Stormers ended on 2 occasions at the top. I think not enough was said about that, because you also have 1 chance.
Yeah.
And you can't go back again to play the Crusaders at home if you've slipped up away.
Well,
And I really believe that this club competition is going to take off. I think it's going to be exciting. And I think that first section where you're playing for top honours, I think it's going to be dog eat, dog out.
Well, I can't wait for this tournament to start because I think, if everything works according to plan next year, we're going to see a lot of those games. We're going to see them live on TV.
Yes.
We're going to give the tournament TV coverage, the exposure and the content that we're going to generate, the stories that we're going to be able to tell is going to be so much more exciting than ever before. We're going to have more photographs, more jerseys, the coaches themselves are going to have to think strategically.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've got to, like, I mean, we always hear about guys like Alistair Coetzee and the other coaches. They've got a game plan, player management plan even during the year. No highly coaches, but I'm not hang on. I need a big squad behind me. My whole medical team must be sorted out. My conditioning, everything has to be. Danny, this is going to be a whole game plan.
Definitely, and therefore there's a lot of unknowns too, which is exciting because life is monotonous at times. So this new competition is bringing something new in, and I do think that the club's already out there speaking about it. I mean, we get lots of calls to find out when are we getting together to discuss a number of things.
Yeah.
So clubs already starting their training systems, and what has helped a lot is that, as I said, Alistair's discussion and Stefan's discussion with the top 15 coaches around preparing and planning for their season would have helped and also energized them.
Well, I'm very excited because I think the kind of questions that we're going to be asked. We watch TV and it's almost as if the coaches and captains, when they do those post-match interviews, they might have just pulled a piece of paper from last week out of their pocket and they read the same thing. All credit to the other team. It was what we expected was, you never hear anything original. And we started hearing that from the coaches because all of a sudden our club rugby guys became TV familiar. They became like TV experts. It was like we must give credit to the opposition who played a hard game, and yes, we did. It was the same story. Now we're going to be able to ask all these new questions. What are you planning for the future, and what are you going to? There's going to be so much more. How did you get your team behind you to react? What was positive? What was weak? There's going to be new conversations coming from the coaches. So I'm looking and from the administrators behind the coaches. So there's going to be a lot more stories to tell, and the stories is what the fans want to hear. They want to know. Now we're creating a dynamic thing which is similar to the Super 15. So I'm very excited about. But talking about the Super 15, Rob, I think you're 100% right. The Stormers have to give them credit for the conference and coming out on top of you, as you say. But I also think it was one of the reasons because you had good leadership with John at the front there.
Yes, I think that, and Peter will come in here because Peter is a national selector and Jean is captain of the Springboks, as we all know, and we're very proud of that.
Forgot to throw that in on the titles in the beginning of the show.
Well, I just brought it in because you did forget. I think that we're blessed in having John as our captain in the Stormers group. I think that from the point of view of the nature of the competition that the DHL Stormers play in, it's an international competition. I mean, week in and week out, you're playing against international players, and you need very, very astute and strong leadership. And I think Jean has proved now at the highest level, at international level, playing for South Africa, that he is an astute and great leader, and we're fortunate to have him. So from that point of view, when you have that type of leadership, you're always going to be in with a chance. So we're bullish. We're not saying, we're not making any predictions, but we certainly are bullish. Going along with that, we have this graduation from the Institute of a number of young players who are this side of 23 still. The Sia Kolisis, the Ebenezebeths.
And John will take them all under his wing.
And that we have the leadership to take them. We have
Talk,
the leadership to take them.
Folks, then talking about Jean de Villiers, well, he was also at the awards ceremony where he was given not the most promising back, as I called him on the day, but on the day, of course, he was given the Backline Player of the Year award. But let's catch up with one of the moments from the awards there with Jean de Villiers talking to the Cape Rugby TV show.
Yeah, very honoured to get this award. Obviously, it's nice sometimes to get a bit of reward for your hard work during the season, and even though it's it's a team sport, the personal accolades are also nice as well. But at the end of the day, you want to be performing as a team.
You talk about hard work. I mean, it's been an incredible season for Stormers, for Western Province, for the Springboks as well. How do you get through the year?
Yeah, it's your job at the end of the day. You have to do your best. You have to be able to focus on every job that you have and every game that you play. So, it doesn't matter of the distractions that you get along the way. It's just focusing on the job and making sure that you're at your best every single Saturday, that you put on the jersey, no matter what that jersey is. No matter if it's Western Province Stormers or a Springbok jersey, you need to be at your best and you need to perform.
Tell us a little bit about the feeling of playing for Western Province. Cape Town, Table Mountain. I mean, that trophy that you've got there is probably 100 years old. We looked at Damien's trophy. It was part of the old Tigerberg Union. The sense of playing for Western Province, what's your feeling around that?
Yeah, no, I count myself very lucky to call myself a Cape Town boy, to be born and raised here, and spend 31 years of my 32 years here in Cape Town, bar 1 year that I spent in Ireland. And I'm just so proud to be living in Cape Town, to play for Western Province, a team that my dad played for, and a team that I've always been supporting. So I grew up with rugby in the house, and I grew up supporting Western Province and always wanting to play for the Springboks. So I'm basically living my dream, and sometimes I still wake up and I don't, I can't believe that it's happening to me. So really privileged and again really honoured to be representing Western Province.
So there we go, folks. Jean de Villiers, of course, at the Western Province Rugby Awards dinner. And much to my chagrin, I did call him the most promising back. And I tell you, Jean's long past being the most promising back. But certainly one of the best backline players in world rugby. Forget Western Province, world rugby. And I love the fact that he said to that referee in the New Zealand game, don't worry if he takes the kick a bit late, we'll just take the bonus point. Do you remember that when we needed to beat New Zealand? Anyway, folks, Evox Advanced Nutrition is, of course, the official sports nutrition supplier to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers. Now, I'm not going to give you the new Stormers jersey as a prize just yet, but I know we're going to be able to give away some of those next year. So this is the new DHL Stormers jersey. We're going to speak to Rob a little bit about the upcoming season for next year in a minute. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you an opportunity to win yourself the bucket of 5XL meal replacement. This is what the Stormers use. This is what Western Province Rugby uses, the Institute, the Academy. All these guys in Western Province and the good rugby players, they use this especially to put on the muscle mass off-season, because we want the guys to come back weighing as much as possible before they get into pre-season. Even though we now know that the off-season, the pre-season is very short. But anyway, you want to win this? Let's first take a look there at last week's winner. Congratulations there to Shakil Carr. Shakil, congratulations. You win for yourself the 5XL muscle meal together with a Shaker 600, which is on its way to you. Right, so folks, if you also want to win for yourself the 5XL and you want to win the Shaker 600, which I have demonstrated before, but I'll quickly do it again. I know people keep saying, do it again, do it again. All right, it's got all these compartments, and this is what we give to the professional guys, that they can put all stuff, protein, and they can put in their cubbyhole in their car. They can put their vitamins and minerals in the little container over here, close that up, and then you can carry more powder in this little magafter over here, and you can close that up. And at the same time, you can have more powder in this container. You can put that in there. You can put this in here. You can put that in there, and you can put that in there. And Shaker 600, that's what it is. And if you blow it up properly, it comes with a house. The last part doesn't count. Evox 5XL muscle meal. There you can see it on the screen right now. If you want to win it, just SMS your name and answer to 33280. Remember, terms and conditions apply. Who is the official sports nutrition supplier to Western Province Rugby and the DHL Stormers? And tell us, well, you don't need to tell us their favorite product. Just tell us who is the official sports nutrition supplier. As I said, that number, SMS to 33280. And the keyword, which is the correct answer, is Evox, EVOX. Time for us to take an ad break, and when we come back, we'll start wrapping up the show, and we'll take a look at some of the fixtures coming up next year in the Super 15. Back with you in a moment. Welcome back, folks. Yes, of course, remember you can find us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/Cape Rugby TV, and we trust that you're sitting around the Christmas tree right now watching Cape Rugby TV. So just for the last part of the show then, and I will take it off a little bit later in the show, and apparently this thing comes with a
Flashing light.
A flashing light? Is that all it is?
Your stars are flashing.
My stars are flashing. My stars haven't flashed for a long time. I'll be very happy with my star. It's a flashing. Oh, my stars are flashing. Can you believe that? There we go, folks. I hope you can see that. My stars are flashing. Well, let's just see if we can get a little bit of... There we go. My stars are flashing. Oh, there you can see. Just. Yeah, so anyway, we're back to normal. Okay. Of course, lots of Christmas and festive season action here on Rob. Let's quickly wrap up with you. It's been a great season. You go in next year. You've got one away game. Then you start off with one home game, and then you guys are away just short. Is that a good thing or a difficult thing? The guys getting the away games out the way in the beginning. What's the general sort of consensus for the top coaches?
Okay, JP, I mean, Peter can come in as well, but we start off with a bye, we then have an away game, then have a home game, and then you have a tour. So I would think that to get the tour behind us, and it's a difficult tour because you're playing the likes of the Chiefs, the Crusaders, the Brumbies, etc. I think you should get that behind you. If you can pick up a win or two over there and then come back home, I think you're in a good position.
You're playing 4 tough teams away.
And it's four tough
Chiefs,
teams.
the Crusaders, the Brumbies, and the Reds.
Correct.
Top team.
Yeah.
But I think you want to get that over as soon as, and I think it's a good start for us to get that behind us and come back home and then concentrate on the home leg. Look, the Super 15 is a tough competition. There's so many things that determine success. Injuries play a huge role.
Yeah.
We've seen that before. We've seen during the course of the year, this year, for example, that there have been some controversial, might I add, official decisions. So there's quite a lot that comes into it.
Controversial? Oh, well, then I'll say it for you. Some of the worst decisions in refereeing that I've ever seen. There, I'll just say it for you, Rob.
But I don't ever want to make that or to add that to as an excuse. That's not the case.
Yeah.
But it is a tough competition.
Yeah.
But I think we have a good squad, and I think we can approach the competition with a lot of confidence.
Skalkberger back?
Skalkberger will be back. And
Eben's, of course, out with a slight injury, still with the ankle.
Eben is
Not
out with
slight,
the injury, which is a tremendous blow to us.
Yeah.
But those are the
The highs and lows.
the highs and lows of professional sport, and we're going to have to work through it. People, might have forgotten that in 2012, when we had a very, very good run in 2012, the lock combination was Elstad and Becker.
Yes,
And Elstad came on very, very strongly that year. So you've got Elstad to
And
lock.
wasn't that the year also that you lost like 3 fly-offs in a row?
But it's the case in every franchise.
You manage it. I mean, that's the whole point. Is that your second stringers and your third stringers have got depth in your. So, Danny, just quickly, next year also we've got, and we're limited on time now. Just very quickly, Boland and Western Province are coming together to play in a community challenge for the clubs that are not in the Varsity Cup and not in the Community Cup.
That's right. We have Durban, Tygerberg, Belhar, and SK Warmers. From Boland side, they have Saldanha, Horston, Worcester Villages, and Ceres.
All right.
So we will start that competition the end of February, and it will end the end of 5 weeks. It will end at the end of March.
And of course, we're going to make sure that whole
Cape
tournament has got more TV coverage than any other TV show in the world.
Well, we're happy
We're
to
going to
have-
cover club rugby tournament there. These guys are going to be wishing that they were in because we're up against the Varsity Cup and the Community Cup. But this gives an opportunity to the other clubs also, Pete.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly. I think it's a great opportunity for those clubs, JP, and then also we are blessed to have Cape TV, Rugby TV with us, you and your TV program that can put that.
No
for
one
us
saw this
on
coming,
TV, which is nice, and I think from my side only, what I would like to say is that I know there's a lot of room for improvement in our administration in Western Province, and I think we strive to be the best in the world, and we will do that. And hopefully our teams can make us all happy next year, all our supporters, loyal supporters, Stormers and the Currie Cup, and bring them home for us next year.
Well, we win or lose, Cape Rugby TV, club rugby carries on, and the passion of rugby keeps flying. Win or lose, doesn't matter for us because that's what we all love to do is watch rugby, play rugby, and have rugby on the side of the field so the kids can come and watch rugby on a Saturday afternoon instead of getting up to naughty stuff. So rugby, whether it's at a club rugby field, a school rugby field, or City Park, or at Newlands, rugby is what it's all about, and that's what we do, is we bring it all together here on Cape Rugby TV. Danny, have yourself a fantastic Christmas. The fact that you're out here with us on at a time like this when you could be at home, carving up the turkey. Thank you very much, and we hope that you have a good holiday.
Thank you, JP.
Pete, I'm sure you're going to be going out to Goedehoop Butchery over in Paarl to get some grove wors.
Grove wors, yes, JP, I have to get that.
That's the best butchery.
That's the best butcher. I'm only buying there.
Rob, this is a butchery you've got to go buy your meat at.
I thought it's just wors. I didn't know anything about grove wors, but I'll ask Peter about that.
But thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. And you know, when we get to find out all the stuff about Western Province rugby and the inside track, so to speak, you know, our audience it's great. Thanks.
JP, can I just add one thing, and Peter just touched on it, and I think this is a great opportunity through the show just to say a huge thank you to our supporters. I mean, they are quite unique and quite special, and as I've said to you, they are the brand. They build a brand, whether it be in Cape Town or in other parts of South Africa. And I just think we are extremely indebted to a fantastic supporter base, and I wish them a great festive season. We hope to see them all back in 2014.
There we go, folks. Thank you very much. And there you go. That is a wrap. It really is about you. It's about the fan. And a massive thanks to you, the fan, for putting rugby on the map, Western Province rugby on the map, supporting the brand, and watching Cape Rugby TV. We hope that you're safe on the roads this holiday. Please do take care. And to you and your family, whether you are spending it doing Christmas or spending it enjoying the festive season, we see you again next year. Have a great rugby week. Bye-bye.